Okay, I want to welcome everyone to the third installation of the Financial Empower You series. And if you joined us last time, we talked about the budget. I was hoping to get to where we could talk about the budget and the credit, but it was so much information. I didn't want to hold everyone over. So this time we're just going to be talking about the credit, things you can do to improve your credit, some of the things that I'm working on. So again, welcome, and I want to thank everybody for joining us. Let me get my camera here straight. I promise you I won't be showing my mean mug the whole time. As a matter of fact, I am about to stop the video now, and then we can just move along with the slides. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat button. I'm on my laptop, but I know some people may be using their phone. So if you can figure out how to ask a question, you can do that, or you can just wait to after the webinar to send me a message or email, or reach out to me on social media. So with that being said, let's get started. All right, again, this is, I'm your one-on-one financial coach, but I started doing the webinar because I felt like it was sometimes difficult for me to go out during my lunch break and after work and travel to do seminars. So I started to do these webinars. So hopefully you will gain something from this. We do have a lot to cover. So just hang tight, but we'll get through. I promise you I won't hold you more than the hour. So you may be, or you may not be familiar with this pyramid I like to use. If you join me for the first one, it was your mindset. Like I always tell people, it's about what motivates you to do a certain thing. And if you don't have your mindset in order, you won't be able to move forward with anything in life, whether it be saving money, whether it be paying off credit card debt, whether it be losing weight or starting that business or whatever that you want to do. If you don't have that mindset to do it, I hate to say it, but you will more than likely fail. But don't let me tell you what you're not going to do. But if you don't have your mindset, it will be more difficult. So that's why I start with that. And like I said before, the second part is your budget and your credit. We talked about the budget on the second webinar. Now we're talking about the credit, and we'll get into that. Call it Budget Better, Save More, and Soar your credit score with James. Then the third thing that we'll be talking about in my next webinar is going to be about loans and debt. You know, talking about, we're going to get into your debt in this section also, because your debt has something to do with your credit score. But we're going to talk more about dealing your debt and leveraging the loans that you take out. Then what I like to call is the auto draft lifestyle, and that will potentially lead to freedom. And what I mean by auto draft lifestyle is, if you saw my social post, it's more about just not saying it's carefree, but living carefree when it comes to saving. You'll be saving automatically. You'll be investing automatically. You'll be paying your bills automatically. And I know it takes people a while to get used to that lifestyle. Heck, I'm still getting used to it. So that's what I mean by auto draft lifestyle. And some of the things we're going to touch on today: what is credit, your credit history, a closer look at credit, you know, why credit is important, the credit rating, and the three companies, the bureaus who monitors your credit. And like I said, we're going to talk about if you're already in debt. We're going to talk about ways that you can increase your credit score and at the same time getting rid of your debt. We're not going to have a lot of time to talk about the identity theft, because that can be a webinar in its own. You'll be surprised at how many people fall for identity theft. But like I said, we're going to get into that a little later. I don't really like to talk about myself, but I feel like it's important sometimes when you're not really when you're selling yourself or when you're trying to sell a product, you have to build credibility. So we're going to talk very briefly about how or the things that I do to maintain 800 plus credit score. And the plug is pretty much just some of the things that I want to tell people about, talk to people about some of the things or the services that I offer. But of course, we do have like the free webinar. And then if we have time, I open it up for any type of questions. So I'm just going to start off with the simple questions. Do you think people are more likely to buy something that they don't need using a credit card, and why? It seems like a simple question, but I know for me, I usually don't buy things I don't need, but I know there are a lot of people who don't think like I do. Like I said, it took me a long time to say, no, I don't need a certain thing. And I just taught myself to say no to certain things. I mean, it can be from anything from just snacks in the store or extra pair of shoes I know I don't need. But most people, what I've learned and been reading is people tend to use credit to buy things like that because, of course, we want things now. If we don't have the money and we don't need it, we're going to use a credit card because people think that for some reason, actually, it's not our money, it's the bank's money, but you're eventually going to have to pay for that credit card or whatever you use or some type of loan to buy the thing that you don't need with your money. So essentially it is your money. And it's a combination of us wanting it now, and for some reason people think differently about spending spending something on a credit card opposed to a debit card, because they feel like, oh, the money's not coming out right now. But I've been in a situation where that can get you in trouble. So like I said, I just like to open that up and with that type of question, and just to share what people actually think when it comes to credit cards or credit and debit card. Now, this is just a closer look at good credit and bad credit. I think everybody pretty much knows if you have bad credit, you're going to be paying more for something opposed to or compared to someone who has good credit. So if you look at, I see a chat, someone's wrote something here. Let me see. Well, I don't see it. But if you want to speak up, I didn't see the question if you had one, but if you want to just speak up or just say it out loud, that's fine. But if you notice here, good credit and on the purchase of $1,000, the interest rate is 7%. I'm trying to think, at 7%, what could that be? Maybe a high car note, I don't know. But with good credit, I think it's just a simple example here. Then with bad credit, it's 27%. Now, I've never seen a credit score that high, but I do know some people who pay that. I have heard of stories of people having 30% interest rates, and mostly you'll find that at your what you call it, the easy money, easy cash, or whatever the name of those traps, because that's what they are, taking advantage of people. But I know that's another webinar. But I just put this on here to kind of give you an idea of what you would be paying, of course, if you had bad credit compared to a good credit. And a lot of times people think it's okay to pay the minimum payment on the credit card, or in some cases, if you're trying to pay off debt, that is a strategy that I'd like to tell people about. You pay the minimum on a credit card, and then you pay an additional amount on another credit card, and we'll get into that a little later also. But a lot of times, if you have an interest rate and that's so high and you're paying the minimum balance, the balance will actually go up. Um, but most times, the way that they set it up is they make sure that you pay the minimum balance of the interest. So if you pay the minimum payment, you're actually only paying the interest and the principal of that balance. It doesn't go down. Now they made another interesting chart here where it says making the purchase in the future with savings, then making the purchase now with savings. And all that is saying is if you save up money to purchase something, in this case, if you want to save $1,000, amounts saved each month is $125, over time. And I would love to have this interest rate, but it said the interest earned on savings of you saving that $125 each month is you're going to gain $30. Again, that's a fairly high interest rate for a savings account, but they're just trying to make a point here. And then you compare that with making a purchase right now with your savings. They talk about opportunity costs. If you make that purchase right now, you're going to miss that $30 in interest that could be earned in savings. So you're actually still paying more if you purchase something right now because of that opportunity cost. Now, another way to look at opportunity costs is if, I don't know, I'm just going to give a real basic example. If I had an hourly job or something, and if I had the opportunity to go to work, just say to make $500, I make a choice to stay at home. So the opportunity to make an extra $500 was missed by me staying at home. So that's just another example of opportunity cost there. So moving along. Now, again, like I said, a lot of, people use credit cards. I use credit cards. I'm not going to lie and say I don't. But the big difference is that sometimes when they use credit cards, they think, oh, say I pay for it later. But at the end of the day, they don't. And you can get yourself in trouble. And when I say credit, it can be credit cards or any type of loan that you get on credit. Let's just say that. But generally speaking, most people talk about credit cards. And believe it or not, like I said, I do use credit cards. And in most cases, if it's not for a business transaction or if I'm trying to get some things done that can potentially make more money, if it's not for that, eventually, I usually pay it off within the month. So I can miss, you don't want to pay interest because interest accrues daily and then you have to pay for it at the end of the month. But a lot of people get in trouble with that. And then once you get in the habit of, buying like just small things, and that's some of the things that I teach, try to get out of the habit of just buying small things on credit card. If you're going to use it and you can pay it off at the end of the month, try bigger things instead of like going to Starbucks or just buying chips and just the small things. It gets you in the habit of using the credit card less. Again, so moving along like the credit, we're here to talk about the credit. So, like I said, if you can just read the credit history or your credit report, is a detailed account of all information about your credit situation. You'll be surprised. I'm into real estate. You'll be surprised with what I see when I do background checks. But, nobody's perfect. So I do understand that. And I actually, depending on what something says on someone's credit report, I give them an opportunity to correct it, or I even sometimes help them correct their credit. And this is one of the things that I offer with Milan Ford when it comes to real estate. So again, when we talk about credit, it's like it's your report card, and it grades you on how well you pay back the money you borrow. Now, true enough, people have been victims of identity theft, you know, have medical bills or fall on hard times. That is a case. And again, going back to um, the when I'm checking for tenants, the tenant screening, a lot of times people just get into a situation with their with medical, you know, going to the hospital, and that can ruin somebody's credit. So every situation is different. But there are three organizations called credit bureaus, and they rate your credit each month and assign you a grade, which is called your credit score. And some people ask me why, why is it three of them? Well, of course you have Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, and I just put a little picture here. You know, Experian has been around since 1899. You know, they report the status of each account. You know, Equifax, I think I'm saying that right, shows an 81-month credit history, distinguishes between open and closed accounts. Then your TransUnion has your employment history. You know, they take that employment history into stronger consideration. And again, like when I'm screening for tenants, you know, the number one question, well, one of the questions I ask, how long have you been on your job? You know, because people who are not steady on the job, they tend to be more of a risk. So that's why TransUnion probably checks checks that employment history. And another thing here, you know, the best thing about building credit is really is one of the easiest things to do. But you know, like I said, a lot of times people just are not, like I said, myself included. It takes some time to get into the habit of doing certain things to help build your credit. It's really the easiest thing to do. If you really sit back and think about it. And we'll get into that more in the later slides. I'm just gonna, like I said, take type of account you have, the responsibility, your responsibility on the account. You know, for example, whether you are on the account with someone or if you are by yourself. You know, it talks about your credit limit or the amount of the loan, the current balance. Is some of the things that they report, your minimum payment, whether you've been late in the past 7 years, and the current account status. You'll find the names of the businesses who've recently requested your credit file, and that's, you know, if you're looking for a car, if you apply for a loan or something like that, it show that show in your credit report. It shows your bankruptcy, your foreclosures, your repossessions, your lawsuit judgments. So, you know, you got to keep that in mind. You know, if you get into some trouble or if somebody say they're going to sue you, or if you know you owe somebody money, you know, you got to keep in mind that if the judgment went against you, it's going to show up on your credit report. But it doesn't include, like, of course, your gender, your income, or whether you receive any type of government assistance, which it shouldn't. Now, moving along here. Now, people always ask, like, why is credit it's so important? You know, well, when you really think about it, I mean, it's really, I tell people you're going to use credit to buy. Well, really, the two major things are, of course, a house and your car. That's going to be in the typical American life. Those are going to be the two major purchases. And like I said, so that's important if you want to buy a house, buy a car, because it's going to, I mean, if you look at the chart here, a house, you know, you got a now that's a little higher right now for a house, 5.49, I think rates for homes are around 4.5%, maybe 4.25%. But this is just giving you an example of the rate that you could possibly have and the monthly payments on a house if you think about it. So even though, like, now when you're applying for jobs, you know, people don't believe me when I tell them this, but like companies, they check for your credit because not, like I said, there are different situations with different people, but your credit really tells a lot about you. I take pride in my credit score, but me being an investor too. I mean, if I had a bad credit score, I can find ways to get money. It's just going to cost more. So if you're fine with it costing you more to do some of the same things that other people are doing, then you know on the business side of it. But I'm not advocating for you to not care about your credit score. So access to capital, you know, that's one of the, I don't know. I tell you, like I said, me being an investor, me actually the house that I'm in now, I have a couple of other mortgages on my account, and one bank, I never been denied a a loan, because, and it wasn't because of my credit score. It was because I had too much credit, or I had too much the debt to the income ratio. You probably heard that a lot. Even though my credit score was over 800, but it's still, when we talk about emotion, it still made me feel bad by getting denied, because I'm like, this had never happened to me before. So why is it important? It affects your emotions. Access to capital, again, we talked about your home, your car. If you get credit cards, it's going to affect your interest rate. So I'm not fine with paying more for, $100 more than somebody else paying less. So I'm trying to figure out what they're doing. So I can, and again, it's money. You saving money when you have a good credit score. Now, so I talked about, what is credit, why is it important, um, things of that nature. So I'm pretty sure y'all are here to figure out some of the things that I do, or some of the things that can help raise your credit score. And I'm telling you, it's not rocket science. It's just people willing to, really take, the mindset and put it to action. Like I said, before you can get that car loan, or that home, or whatever it is, apply for a credit card, the number one first thing you should do is check out your credit report. And if it's a federal law that each individual can receive a annual credit report for free every year. And you have a lot of people, or a lot of companies saying, "Oh, we're the only company that can give you your credit report," and your credit report and your credit score is different. But we'll get into that maybe a little later. But the only, as far as I know, that you don't have to pay for it, and it's backed by the feds, where you can get your credit report, is annualcreditreport.com, and you'll see that on the slide. And another note, at the end, I'm recording this webinar, so if you missed it, or if you think you missed something, I'm going to upload it to the YouTube channel, so that you can watch it later and share it with your friends also. But when you're buying a house, the people are going to be looking at your credit anyway. So before you even go, the first thing you need to do is go look at your credit report yourself. So you won't get surprised if you get denied, or if something's on there that you don't know about. And if it is something on there that you don't know about, we'll talk about that later, how you can get that removed. Again, we know that the three credit bureaus are the Equifax, Experian, and the TransUnion. We talked about that. Then each they keep their own record of the individual credit score. Usually it's 7 to 10 years. I'm pretty sure they can go further back if they wanted to, but heck, if I could, if I talked about some of the things I did 10 years ago or some of the, it wouldn't be good. So I think that's fair. I think 7 to 10 years. The grading system is, your FICO. Now, actually, that stands for the Fair Isaac Corporation. Now, this is important when you're trying to correct your credit score. Okay, if you look to the right here, 720 or higher is excellent. 660 to 720 is good. 620 to 660 is average. 560 to 620 is poor, and then below 560 is F. Now, I don't know where you are, but just know that you can start right now with improving that credit score. I mean, like I said, we all have things that happen to us in life, but that doesn't mean that you give up. That means you just get more information and you take action. I'm a big believer in taking action. But the grading system, the biggest thing that can help your credit score is your payment history. I mean, just pay your bills on time. That's 35%. The first two, which is 65%. I mean, just pay. I mean, if it's the minimum payment, you're paying it on time. It may not be a good thing that you're paying the minimum payment, but that gets you in the habit of paying your bills on time. That's why I'm a big proponent of the auto draft. Don't try to, okay, I gotta, take this out, so I gotta pay this. I guarantee that you will forget something. I've had a life-changing scenario in my life, and to be honest, I forgot to, I was doing some switching around and forgot to put a bill on auto pay, but I found out like the next day, and it like dropped my score like by 3 points. So that payment history is really, that's a big one. And then the next one is 30% of your credit score, and that is your credit utilization rate, or it means the amount of currently owed. So they say 30%. Your credit utilization rate needs to be below 30%. And I have some examples down below, but just keep that in mind. That will help. If you keep it below 30%, that's going to boost your credit score. And I get into what I do a little later, but just, if you don't remember anything else, pay your bills on times and keep your credit cards, total. Now the aggregate total. So if you have 3 credit cards, make sure if you add the balances all up into your limit, make sure it's below 30%. Those are the 2 biggest things. Length of your credit history, that's 15%. The longer the better, but don't worry about this too much. You will build it over time. You just have to trust yourself and get in the mindset and the habit of, like I said, paying your bills on time and your credit utilization rate. Those are the 2 biggest things. Then your new credit, that's 10%, the number of recently opened accounts, then the type of credit used, and the amounts currently owed, another 10%. If I had a test, that would be like the first question. Like, what are the 2 most important things of raising your credit score? That's the test question. Again, the credit utilization rate, just an example. If you had a $5,000 limit, then you had a balance or credit of $1,000 on that card, you have a 20% line item utilization rate. So you're still good. Now, if you get into 4,000, then you're going to be in trouble. It'll actually have a negative effect on your credit score. Um, again, if you had three here, you had three credit cards. You know, one with a limit of 500, 3,000, and 1,000. Then just look at the numbers. You got $120. I think that's right. $200 and $800. Like I said, as long as if all of that adds up and it's below 30%, then you're good to go. So just always keep that in mind. Okay, I told you that we're going to talk about debt, and if you're already in debt, what should you do? Again, the first thing you need to do is get a copy of your credit report, and that is at annualcreditreport.com, and request your free report. Now, if you got your report, and what if you see some things on there that's like hurting your credit score? You need to dispute the negative items on your credit report. The credit bureau has 30 days to verify the information, or if they can't, it drops off your credit report. So a lot of times you see these commercials, get your credit right, pay us and we'll do all this. All they're doing is looking at your credit report and calling the actual creditors. And, if it's not correct, they have 30 days the credit bureau has 30 days to verify it. But if they can't, it has to drop off. And the people that you're paying, they just stay on them. They keep calling. Well, good ones, they keep calling. But again, that's something that you can do on your own. But hey, if you don't have the time to it, I understand why you want to do it. Again, continue your letter writing campaign, just staying on the credit bureau. And because if you think about it, think about the government. Like when you owe them money, they're going to be on you. But when they're wrong, or when it's time for them to do something, they're going to drag their feet. They're going to make all type of excuses. So always remember that. And I will have, and if you, after the webinar, and all this information is, the files and everything can be downloaded on my website, which is malinforward.com. So I will remind you all after the webinar. Next, if you got all that done, you have to prioritize the payments. Now this may take a little time, 4 and 5, and this is where a lot of people I've noticed they tune out or they check out because it requires a little bit of work. But me, I'm always checking my balances and accounts and credit and interest rates. But again, everybody's not like me. So what you need to do is you need to get on the phone. You need to know your credit card. You need to log into your account, and you need to, of course, get the credit, the interest rate, amount owed, minimum payment. Even I've even asked for, like, if I had a card back, I don't know how long ago it was, but I had a card maybe like at 11% or something like that. I even asked them, I played the victim a lot. I didn't know this. I won't be able to afford it. If you try to throw a pity party, a lot of times with the credit card companies, they will, give you a lower interest rate. Sometimes if you offer half of the money that they're asking for, like if you owe them $3,000 and you say all I have is $1,500, can you help me out with that? A lot of times they'll do it, because when you think about it, they made all this money on your interest anyway. But the main thing is, what I've learned is you just have to call them and do it. You just have to do it. You just can't just sit back and take it, because you'll never get your credit right if you just sit back and take it and don't try to take some type of action. Again, once you have the rates of each credit card from each credit card company, it charges, organize the payment and structure, and we'll talk about that. Now, if you listen to, I like Dave Ramsey. He pretty cool. He is a more of a traditional, everyday American, which is good. I mean, there's a market for that. But you have your Robert Kiyosaki's, where they are more investor oriented. But Dave Ramsey suggests, and I like this better because some people go when it comes to your debt and your credit, trying to raise your credit score. People go back and forth of should you pay the highest interest rate of a credit card first, or should you start with the lowest balance? Now, what I teach people, or what I tell people, is you pay the credit card that has the lowest balance on it. The reason I say the lowest balance is because, we get frustrated as humans, especially when we don't see progress. When you're in the weight room, when I'm in the weight room, I've been going hard for, about 2 weeks, but I don't see this six pack, I get frustrated, and then, we tend to quit. Well, not quit. Let's just say we take a break. And how long that break is depends on us, right? But if you get in them, and it's a mindset. So if I went in the weight room and I worked out for like 2 weeks and I saw abs, I'm like, man, I'm going harder this next week. So the same applies to why I say pay the lowest balance of your credit card first, because if you got a balance of $500 or $1,000, and that's the lowest, I mean, I call it an easy win, and that motivates us to keep going. So if you get that easy win, you say, oh, I can do this. And then you just move to the next one. So you take what you were paying on the lowest balance card, then you take that and put it to the next credit card. And that's what we call a snowball. You probably heard that a lot of times. The snowball is you start with the lowest balance first. And then the avalanche is when you start with the credit card with the highest interest rate. Now, what you do is up to you, but at the same time, you're going to be raising your credit score because of your utilization rate. Every time you pay off the credit card, the utilization rate, if I can say it right, gets lower and lower, then more than likely it will go below that 30% to help you boost your credit score. Now, this is it's very simple. I just came up with some numbers actually. And this is an Excel sheet. And if you know me, I love Excel. Some people hate Excel, but I love it. And this is an example of credit cards that, has a balance, the lowest balance first, with the interest rates and everything, with the minimum payment. If you look at the creditor, your credit card, then you have your balance, then you have your rate, then you have your payment. And pretty much if you just type in those numbers, like, we were talking about earlier, if you go in and, call the creditors, what's my balance, or log into your account on your phone, what's my interest rate? See, can you get a lower interest rate? What's my minimum payment? You can, you can get all that information on your statement, but it's good to, like I said, it's good to ask for a lower interest rate or some type of discount. And then you notice at the bottom in the payment section, you got, it totals to be $27.97. Now, again, if you missed the last webinar, it was about your budget. So this is where you will have the extra money from the budget that we talked about in the last webinar to figure out how much extra you can put towards your debt. here. Okay. Now, this is just, again, it's the same information from the previous slide, but it's just showing you the months to pay off. So, a lot of people, I know at least with me, I like to see it. So I know kind of like, I feel like it's a goal. So, a lot of times if you have a goal, you can work towards it if you see it visually. That's just how I am. And, just give you a better idea. And again, these Excel forms or sheets, it's on malinforward.com, and I think it's under the files tab. But I put that once I upload it on to YouTube as well. Now, we talked about, some people pay people to fix their credit score, as they say. But to be honest, I've heard of more horror stories. I may have heard of maybe one or two good stories of, companies helping a person with their credit score. But most time it's like people taking people's money. I hate to say it, but it's just one of those, just to me, it's a trap, especially when it's so easy that you can do it yourself. So what this is here is, like I said, it's a letter from a credit agency disputing fraudulent charges from your credit report. And it's really just this is what you do. I know people don't write letters, but there may be an email. I may need to try to find the email for y'all, but I'm going to have the address of the credit bureaus for you to have as well. But this is what pretty much what it is. I mean, I'm not going to read it, but pretty much it's saying I'm a victim of identity theft, and this information shouldn't be on my credit report. And then you send it to them, and then you make sure you stay on them, because I think, what did I say, they have 30 days or 60 days, whatever it is, to verify it, or whatever they do. Then, and they can't verify it, then it needs to fall off. And I'm telling you, it will help, I mean, dramatically on your credit score. You'll be surprised. Let me see what the next one is. This is a form letter to a business or lender to remove, pretty much the same thing. It's just in different, it's to a business instead of the, let me see. Yeah, it's to a business instead of the credit lender. But it's pretty much saying the same thing. I just dispute this, and I've been a victim, whatever your situation is. Now, you can't be trying to get over on them now. Don't try to finesse the situation now. It has to be like truly something that is not true. So I'm not advocating, of course, for lying or anything like that, but I'm just trying to equip you with the tools that you need when it comes to your credit score. And again, like I said, it's not rocket science, but it does take a little effort on your part, just like anything else in life. Getting up and going to work takes effort, right? I know I want to hit the snooze button like 2 or 3 more times, but now I didn't. Like I said, we're almost running out of time. Have about 15 minutes, but like I said, identity theft is real. Like I was a victim of identity theft maybe 6 years ago, and luckily, like I said, I check my account often. You'd probably be surprised at how often I check my accounts. But anyway, what they didn't buy anything. Well, they did buy something, and it was like it was a triple X movie. And I know and I'm not talking about Vin Diesel either. Now, triple X. I'm talking about the other triple X. And I was like, hold on now. I know I ain't spending it on, no movies like this. So, but anyway, long story short, I got it taken care of pretty quickly, because the charge was like, let's just say on the 6th, the charge was made on like the 15th, And then I had caught it like on the 16th. So, but that's just me. A lot of people are not, not that on it like I am. I understand. I do. I really do. But like I said, it's gonna take some effort. So I just put this on here. What is this? Medical identity theft. Some of the things that you can look for. If you get a call from a debt collector about a medical bill, and you like, hold on, I didn't break my ankle. I mean, what's going? It's really obvious. And it's, what? Somebody just sent me an email 2 days ago about, you know, go buy Apple card and send them the code. It's like something crazy like that. Pay $300 for an Apple card, then send them the code in an email. So I mean, you'll be surprised at how many times people fall for this. And even I have a close relative that they say they got a call from the IRS, which the IRS they mail out stuff. They won't call you, I think. But they was asking for all this information, and once you given that information and you're done, it's over with. I know a couple of people, like I said, this identity theft, man, is real, and it will jack up and once your credit score is jacked up, it's done. But that's why you can work at getting it back where it needs to be. But why, if you can avoid the situation, you need to avoid it. So, okay, if your identity is stolen, you should contact the following agencies. You got your 3 credit bureaus. You got the Federal Trade Commission, the IRS, Internet Crime Complaint, all this type stuff that you can do. And the reporting agencies, if you look at the bottom left corner, that's the number, the fraud hotline, the mailing address that you can contact them. Because if you catch it quick, you can send them some information, and then it may not have an adverse effect on your credit score. So that's why I'm a big proponent of checking it often. A lot of times too, I make sure I won't overdrive. I'm kidding. Nah, I'm for real. But identity theft is real. Just remember that. Okay. Again, I don't like to, really talk about myself, but when it comes to credibility, I think it's important. So what do I do to keep an 800 plus credit score? Like I said, 35%, I pay my bills on time. I mean, like I said, even if it's the minimum payment, just make sure you pay your bills on time. Your light bill, your phone bills, I mean, anything. It's real simple. That means, charging only what you can afford and paying your bill in full every month. I mean, we all know that's not going to happen, but at the least pay the minimum payment on your bills. People kill me. They don't get on my nerves, but it's kind of funny to me. People say, "Oh yeah, I caught this 20% sale," and then it goes on a credit card. Then if you miss a payment or whatever it is, it's an 18% finance charge. Or if you pay the minimum payment, that 20% that you save is gone. So you're really not saving money. It's just a thing that we fall for. Again, never pay my bill late. Like I said, this auto draft lifestyle, I really try to live by that. Again, if you're late, like I had this life-changing situation. I missed a payment. I was a day late, and I got hit with how much was it? It was like almost $30-something. I was devastated because I never, that was my first time ever paying the bill late. But it was just one of those situations. It'll never happen again. Like, I'm 35. I never paid a bill late. Again, I log into my account. One reason I just like to check it really, see what's going on with it. Because when I see progress, like I said, it's a motivator to make sure I stay on the right track. And then a lot of times, if I use credit, to me, it's easier to keep up with when it comes to like your statements and stuff. But nowadays, I know with Wells Fargo, if you use your debit card, they have a pretty robust um, online system for your spending history as well. Let's say I check it often again, at least once a week. That's just that's not me. I check mine at least. Well, I'm not gonna over exaggerate. I check it almost every day. I'm just gonna tell you that. I use my credit card as a complement to my budget. Now, people people may think I'm crazy, but what is this? Is if you're disciplined enough, I transfer money from my primary account to my credit card from what I have written down as a budget. And again, if you have a credit card where you can take advantage of rewards, if you say you're going to spend $100 a month, then just go ahead and transfer that money. Again, auto draft lifestyle. Again, just transfer that money, even though the balance may be zero. Just go ahead and put it on that credit card. So it's already done. You don't have to manually do it. Auto draft lifestyle again. I take advantage of the rewards. You can earn extra perks. I already talked about that. And then people won't think I'm crazy when I say this, but I have multiple credit cards. Again, I'm disciplined enough to um, to um, to not overspend. I think I think I have maybe like $50,000 to $60,000 in available credit that I can use. It may be a little more, a little more, a little less. I don't know. But again, that helps with my credit utilization rate. Again, I use balance transfer if I'm rehabbing the house or if I'm investing in something. Like I said, again, that um, raises your credit score. So what I'm going to do now, I said I wasn't going to do it, but I told you I always check daily. So I'm going to check what my credit score. If you see that picture, you see 802. So I'm going to check right now, and I'm going to see what it is now. And what I use is one of my credit cards. It's a Discover. It is a Discover credit card. I like Discover. They're pretty good. So I don't know if you have a Discover credit card, but they give you like your credit score. So let me see here. What am I on? Okay. Oh, it actually went up 5 points. So if you can, I don't know, it's 807. So again, like I said, I check it every day. So some people take pride. I take pride in my credit score. But anyway, so I'm going to take off the video because I know y'all already tired of looking at me. But again, those are some of the things that I do. And it's not rocket science. It's really not. It's just people being serious and being intentional of what they really want to do. So moving along. Now, again, that's pretty much wrapping up the credit part of it. But if you missed the last webinar, which talked about the budget, again, it's on my YouTube page. If you go to YouTube, you can look at the links and everything and some of the things that I use. But again, build up extra money. If you follow your budget, that's the most important thing. Get ahead of your bills. Like I pay my bills. I don't pay like it's okay. For example, it's tax time is coming up. If you get a refund, some people don't. Use some of that money to get ahead of your bills. So each paycheck, you're only paying half of your bills. instead of the full whatever it is. That's a strategy that I use. Of course, it helps with paying bills on time. It helps boost your credit score. Auto draft, separate savings account. I have probably four accounts, and my now since I had this life changing experience, so, there's a new account, and it's actually, if it's a savings account, it's actually harder to get the money out. You have to do some additional work, which it makes you think about, do I really need it? I use mint.com. It's a mobile app. It categorizes on your if you use your debit card. It does a pretty good job. Wells Fargo does a pretty good job, but Mint does a better job, and you can manipulate it a little better, and you can set budget goals. They give you all types of information. It's pretty good. I like it. Personal bank resources. I use bill pay through my bank. A lot of people don't use that because they say it takes too long. Well, just take the extra effort to let it go out of your account. It just takes a little effort. That's all. Prism mobile app that sends a reminder if you're not ready for the auto draft lifestyle. Prism, it's a good app that reminds you to keep you on budget and paying your bills on time. Like I said, my Excel, I love Excel. I check my budget and my spending, and I adjust it accordingly to make sure I'm on track. Earn extra money, do an additional job. I think I read a book. You need 7 to 11 streams of income, and once you get the extra money, build up your emergency fund. And Acorns. This is my auto. It's an auto, like I said, auto draft lifestyle into investing. Very simple, but we'll talk about that a little later. Wells Fargo, use your bank. And also, I have a friend, her name is Tay Lee. She has a book, a planner called Never Go Broke. She usually joins. I don't see her. She may be on here, but and there will be a link on the YouTube page, and it's a financial plan. You can track your debt. She even has a revenue distribution chart. So that's a good source there. Again, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and type those up, or if you want to speak on the microphone, you can. But the ways that you can contact me is, of course, malinford@gmail.com. My website is malinford.com. My YouTube page is Malin Forward. Instagram is, I have Black Alchemy. People always ask me, what you mean by Black Alchemy? Because I feel like I'm constantly changing, or I'm changing, trying to be something better. And of course, I'm Black. And Instagram, Malin Forward. Also, Facebook, Malin Forward. Look us up. Twitter, Malin Forward. You can text me or call me at 650-746-4577. And also on the website, you can set up a one-on-one with me, and it's $50 off if you leave a comment and share. So I will make a choice each month if you share the YouTube page or the webinar, so we can work that out. But I really like working one-on-one with people. It kind of gives me a better idea of your needs and kind of like what you're going through. So I'm not sure if you can click that or not. I don't think you can. But again, it'll be on the YouTube page. And I think that's pretty much it. Are there any questions for me? The next one, the next webinar will be about, I may make a decision. It depends on what you all say. If y'all want to do one on identity theft, or you just want to go to the loans and debt. portion of it. And then, I'm going to send out a survey. So I will offer a $50 discount to someone if you fill out the survey. But the next one is going to be either identity theft or loans and debt. So with that being said, I think, what time is it? It's 6:56. So I am a minute over. Are there any questions? I'm trying to figure out if I can show a chat section, but I don't see anything here. I know they need to do a better job of that. But are there any questions for me at the time? Hopefully I can answer them for you. Okay.
I sent some comments.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, I missed those comments, but is it something you want to ask out loud, or would you like to wait?
I can just ask now. You talked about using credit cards. It's best if you don't use them, especially if you don't have the mindset or restraint to using them improperly. What about if there's a bill or utility, mortgage, or whatever that needs to be paid, and you don't have the money to pay it, and you use the credit card?
Well, it depends on, like I say, in my opinion, it depends on, first of all, which bill it is and how much it is. The first thing I would do, I would try to avoid using the credit card. I would call the creditor or the utility company to let them know the situation, and to set up a payment plan that works best for you, that you can afford. And more than likely they will understand and they will accept that. But if push came to shove, the credit card would be the last thing that I do. But the first thing I would do is to, of course, get the call the creditor or the utility and to let them know the situation, and get something within your budget that you can set up a payment plan with.
Well, like I know, my utility company for the power is Central Alabama Electric. Mm-hmm. They have a plan, I think, that's called a budget. I think it's called budget plan, that you pay a certain amount every month. Mm-hmm. And you decide to opt out of that budget plan, you have to pay back money.
Back money. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with that, but it sounds like there could be something that you need to talk to them about further. But the credit card would be the last resort for me. Yeah.
Okay. And you have gotten me into checking my account daily. I know sometimes I would go weeks without checking my account.
Yeah, that can be very dangerous.
I know.
Unless you get the alert. Another good thing is to set up the alerts on your phone. Mine is set up, if it goes below $150, then I get an alert.
Yeah. Because I get alerts as well.
Okay.
But I did have to make it a habit of trying to check my account, if not every day, every other day.
Yeah. Like I say, it's a habit that we have to get into. So I do understand that. Are there any more questions?
I have a question. This is Sherry.
Hey, Sherry, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing? So I recently, I can say my credit age may be about 6 years old, right? So there's not much, still pretty kind of young. However, I was the actual co-borrower on my car, and I've actually paid it off. Mm-hmm. Now, I was under the impression, some kind of way that with having that account paid off, that it would somehow increase my credit score. And now that I know that is different, my question would be, what do you suggest in that particular matter? Okay, so let me tell you what I've done. I went ahead and paid my car off, and I decided to look into another credit card that was going to give me more so perks, cash back rewards, things like that. Would you suggest, because it won't be the same amount of money that my car loan would have been. So, I mean, would you suggest, like you said before, getting multiple credit cards to lower that credit utilization rate? Or would you suggest kind of going for a lump sum and possibly going all out and probably getting another car if that's in your budget? Well, what do you think in that matter?
I think, like I said, it depends on, of course, I know I heard your situation. I would say, as far as like, do you have, how many credit cards do you have already?
I have two now with the new one. So it's
Okay.
just two now with the new one. Um, so of
I
course,
would,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was about to say, are you using those currently?
Well, to be honest, like I said, in me researching to get the additional one or
Mm-hmm.
another one, I chose one that would possibly give me a lower, uh, not balance. You know what I'm trying to say? Like a lower
Like
entire.
the credit limit?
Yeah. Like give me a lower limit. I mean, roughly under $7,000.
Okay.
So I wanted something that would be lower, however, that would boost my credit score
Yeah.
since I closed that loan account. So in that one card, I don't use at all because the balance is a bit up there. So I'm working on getting that down. So with the new card, with cash back rewards, I'm trying to see if it would be beneficial for me to use that as, like you said, as you mentioned earlier, maybe like a daily budget type thing.
Right. Right.
So is that what you consider to do? Or
Well,
what I think I'm doing, James, is that I'm too eager for it to go up, and my
yeah.
patience is patience is kind of slim. So,
Yeah.
but it seems like it's a marathon rather than a sprint.
Yeah, it's definitely a marathon. What I would suggest, though, the credit card that you have with the perks, it may be too early for you to ask for a credit limit increase, but the one that you already have, that you said the balance was up there, I would try to get a credit limit increase with that one. But like I said, you have to be careful not to think, I have more credit, the max, I have more credit to spend. You have to work on paying it down. I think that'll be more beneficial to raising your credit score in your case than just getting a whole nother one. I would work on paying it down and asking for an increase in the
Okay.
credit limit.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions? All righty. Well, again, I want to thank everyone, and again, I'm going to upload it to my YouTube page, and I'm also going to send out I guess a post survey to everybody. So if you would give me all A's, no, I'm just kidding. Just give some true feedback on what I can do to improve, and then I do what I can, and let me know what y'all want to hear next time. So with that being said, happy Thursday and happy New Year to everyone. And I know I will probably see some of you soon. But there's a lot of people on here from out of town. Um, but with that being said, it was good, and I will talk to y'all soon. Just be on the lookout for the next one. Okay, y'all have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah.